Okay, this is an interesting question because I actually started helping others long before I should have. And that's the truth of it. When I was still married to my ex-husband, I started working as a wounded healer about child abuse. And at the time, I was kind of in denial, I think, because I didn't realize what kind of situation I was living in at home. I didn't quite put the pieces together very well. And I actually was on Radio Veritas, and I gave a whole lot of advice to people who came out of abusive childhoods and didn't see that I was still in an abusive relationship myself. And I think that's very, very difficult. And it was difficult at the time and felt very humiliating when I actually left my husband. I felt like, oh, well, here I have been giving advice to people about how to help with their childhood abuse, and I'm actually just a failure myself. But I picked myself up, and I think that's the thing that you need to do. You need to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and start all over again. And that's what I did. And I worked harder. And I realized that the reason that I got into this abusive marriage was because I wasn't healed of what happened to me as a child. And I will still say that I'm not healed. I'm a wounded healer. However, I am remarried and happily remarried, and I do have a good life. And how did that happen? Well, it happened because I started helping others, and I started seeing that these issues are so complicated that there isn't a one size fits all solution for them. Each person is different, and what you have to do is you have to teach people how to take their control back and then allow them to be themselves. And for me, that is such a wonderful miracle in each person's life. And each person comes into their own and becomes such an amazing person afterwards that it kind of takes your breath away when you remember what they looked like the first time you met them, and then you meet them again and they're like some sort of, I don't know, they had some sort of makeover that just changed them, and that the happiness is coming from within them and the dead look in their eyes is gone. And I think that's what keeps me going. But what sparked it in the first place was this absolute horror that other people are living what I lived, and nobody's doing anything about it, and that's just not okay. And I think that's what the real beginning was. The real beginning was seeing, gee, you know what? I'm not alone in this, and look how many people are in this, and why is the world not in an absolute state about it? Why are we not screaming from the rooftops saying it's not okay? It's not okay for people to live in fear and to be beaten and to be degraded, and it's not okay for little children to be raped and murdered, and it's just not okay. And I just don't understand why it's not a huge deal. You know, we all get on our high horse about all sorts of things, and is this not one of the things that really should have priority? The fact that human beings are tormenting and torturing and hurting other human beings, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what race, no matter what creed, no matter what country you're in, no matter if it's a man abusing a woman or a woman abusing a man. None of these things are important. What is important that people are suffering at the hand of other people, and the majority of people just close their eyes and carry on walking and doing their daily thing because it doesn't affect them. Well, actually it does. And I think that there isn't a family that could really say, you know what, I have never experienced that ever in my entire family, because I have seen the statistics and I just don't believe that. I think that this is a thing that is across the board the hugest horror and the worst crime ever committed against society in general is the abuse of children and the degradation and abuse of women. And then, to let me say this just so that everybody understands me very clearly, that the abuse of men that is becoming more and more prevalent is just as horrific as the abuse of a woman is. So I think that any abusive situation needs to be stopped, prevented. We need to find ways to teach people how to live in love instead of in hate.